Part of the ongoing challenge as a photographer is trying to figure out how someone shot a particular image. The more you stare at different people's images, lustfully figuring out shutter speeds and f-stops, you start to graduate from settings to lighting and composition. All the time wondering whether there's some magical setting that you can use to get shots just like that. In this week's video, I'm going to show you how I shot one of my favourite images of the year so far. On Christmas Eve last year, I got an email asking whether I was available to do a shoot. My first reaction was no, it's Christmas Eve, and I went back to eating cheese. But as I read on, I realised that the email was actually from a sponsorship and partnership team member at the wetsuit brand Zone3. That email led us to shooting this image of pro triathlete Sophie Coldwell, and this video is the story of how I created that image. If you're interested in finding out more about how to make money from sports photography, then check out my How to Be Successful with Sports Photography course over on Udemy. Links in the description below. So if you've seen my video before on turning bad days into good days, you'll have seen a bit of behind the scenes of this shoot already. I'll link it up so you can see if you're interested. The brief was pretty straightforward. Create something really cool, creative, do some kind of reveal shot of Sophie as part of a big announcement in early 2020 of Zone3 being Sophie's new wetsuit sponsor, and do it in a way that showed off Sophie, the wetsuit, and ideally use the colours of the suit if we could. I'm pretty fortunate that I can pull in my good friend David on shoots like this when I need him, not just to shoot sexy B-roll and behind the scenes of me working, but he's also a great part of the creative process for things like this, and really helps me to get the shots that I want to get. I mean, don't tell him because it'll go to his head, but you know what I mean. So enough of the backstory, let's dissect this a little bit. We actually did two setups for this shoot, one on a black background and one on a white background. We did a pretty simple setup for this, 3 lights with Sophie stood off the background, maybe 4 or 5 feet. The basic idea was to have 2 strobes at about 1/16th power off to the sides, shooting through coloured gels and shoot through umbrellas. And then my main light would be my speed light at about 1/8 power running through a beauty dish. The reason we went with shoot through umbrellas for the side lights is because I wanted to soften that colour that hits Sophie's face and suit and not have it overpower her too much. For studio shoots like this with Sophie, my beauty dish is my absolute favourite modifier. I have flown this thing all over the world. It is my main modifier, it is my main key light whenever I get opportunity to use it. For this shoot with Sophie, we had it about, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 feet above my head, coming down at about a 45-degree angle. The key to this shot, like 90% of my work, was to have it pretty much right in camera on the day. There's really no point after the fact trying to put her on a black background and add the colours in when you could spend a few minutes and maybe like 10 quid on colour gels to get the look that you want when you take the shot. So there's not a whole lot of editing for this image of Sophie, apart from my kind of like basic adjustments and curves and stuff. The biggest thing that we did, and the biggest thing that took the time for me to do, was to remove the watermarks and specks and blemishes off of the suit itself. If you've ever spent any time around wetsuits, you'll know that they pick up spots and marks and blemishes really, really quickly, and to show those off as part of a sponsorship announcement wasn't really the right look and feel. So I had to spend time taking those spots and blemishes off and those little watermarks off of the suit to make it look absolutely amazing. So once the basic adjustments are added, it's time to clean this suit up. As you'll see, it's covered in little white marks and blemishes, as I've already talked about. This is normal for wetsuits, but by cleaning these up, you really make it look good for this promo shot. For this, I simply use the clone stamp tool in Lightroom, and I just work my way around the suit, cloning out the marks. It's as easy as that. And there you have it. A pretty cool, in my opinion, shot of Sophie in a new Zone3 wetsuit. I hope this has shown you a little bit of the behind the scenes process that we go through on studio shoots like this. It's a bit of a trial and error thing for me over the last couple of years, trying to figure out what works for me in studio and what doesn't. I'm really happy with this shot, Sophie. It was a really cool way to start the year. Let's just hope after this COVID-19 outbreak's all over, I can get back to doing stuff like this, because it's an awful lot of fun and it's a nice little break from events, and it means I can hang out with athletes. If you haven't already, take a moment to hit subscribe so you'll get notified whenever I post up new videos. At the minute, it's about twice a week. I share most of my work on Instagram too, @BenSnapStuff, so feel free to give me a follow. Till next time.